The band Yes just released a new album called The Quest. It's album number 22 for them, and it's kind of like a new incarnation of the band. Their founding bass player, Chris Squire, he passed away in 2015, so this time the band is Billy Sherwood on bass. So for the lineup, we have John Davison on vocals, Steve Howe on guitars, Jeff Downs on keyboards, Billy Sherwood on bass, and Alan White on drums. Now this would be the first Yes album without any founding members. Some people have questioned like if the band really should be called Yes or maybe something different. It's kind of still up to debate. I won't really get into that in this video. And the album was produced by Steve Howe. The recording process for this album, pretty much the same for most bands this year. They originally started to focus on the album back in 2019, but their 2020 tour was canceled, and many of the songs were written during lockdown. The album does have a classic Yes sound, but they do add in some orchestral arrangements this time. The album was released on October 1st, 2021. It's a 2-disc set. It's not a double album, but it's a full album of 8 songs, and then there's another disc of 3 additional songs. So it's like a full album plus a mini EP. So in this review, I'll just talk about the first 8 songs more in depth, and I'll just mention the other 3 at the end. The album starts out with The Ice Bridge. This song was released back in July. 7-minute song, has 3 sections. The opening keyboard riff might sound familiar, many have compared it to Fanfare for the Common Man by Emerson, Lake and Palmer. The song talks about climate change, and the song is pretty good. Has a classic Yes sound. You do hear the different instruments as well. I really like the bass guitars. That really has a really good sound to it. And the guitar and the keyboards and the bass guitar all seem to work well together. So I think this is a pretty good as an opener. Second song is called Dare to Know. This was released back in September. This one has more of a jazzy feel. It reminds me a little of Steely Dan in the intro. But then it kind of goes into more of a classical guitar riff, has some orchestra in the background. It's a very laid back song. They do start to sound more like a classic Yes as the song progresses. Steve Howe does some co-lead vocals on this song. There are parts of the song that do sound kind of like a movie score. They do bring in that orchestra parts. But the song ends with a passage that's kind of like a Spanish guitar. I thought that was pretty cool. The third song is called Minus the Man. This one has lyrics dealing with technology. It's a slow-paced song. It has a melodic electric guitar riff played throughout. The orchestra is heard in the background. I do like Steve Howe's playing on this song. You do hear the orchestra a lot more towards the end of the song. Next is Leave Well Alone. This one has Steve Howe playing a Japanese koto. So it does have that Japanese sound in the beginning. But as the song moves on, it does get a little upbeat at first. Then it kind of slows down with the first verse being very quiet with acoustic guitars. The song progresses, has different tempo changes, has some jazzy guitar riffs. And this is an 8-minute song written by Steve Howe, and it does have 3 different sections. I think the song is very interesting. It does go through many different changes as it progresses, and probably one of the stronger songs on the album. Next is The Western Edge. This one has more of a cinematic quality, with the use of the orchestra. It is a laid-back song, but it does kind of pick up the pace as it moves along. The song does stand out because it does have John Davison and Billy Sherwood sharing lead vocals. They do add some futuristic synth sounds at some parts during the song, so this one is not too bad. After that is Future Memories. So this one has a slow acoustic intro played by John Davison. So I like this one a lot. It has this classic rock feel. They do have some electric guitar parts to contrast with the acoustic guitars. It is a very laid back and relaxing song. The keyboards and orchestra are kind of kept to the minimum, as it is mostly composed of guitars and vocals. So I do like the stripped down feeling of the song. Next is Music to My Ears. This one has a slight jazzy feel. John Davison and Steve Howe both do the vocals here, but I do like how they do the layered vocal tracks. There are some cool tempo changes, lots of keyboard sections. Out of all the songs, this might be one of the weaker songs, or maybe the least memorable, but it's okay. Last song is called A Living Island. This is close to 7 minutes long. It was divided into 3 sections again. Starts with a guitar passage played on a 12-string guitar. And when the first verse kicks in, John Davidson sings the first verse, accompanied by piano and guitar. And this song was inspired by John Davidson's time in Barbados during the lockdown. This is the only song that is actually about the pandemic, and the song does pick up pace with like a faster drum beat as it progresses. I really like the guitar, like the lead guitar work in this song. There's some really great playing by Steve Howe in this one. So that's where the first disc ends. On the second disc, there are 3 additional songs. So they have Sister Sleeping Soul. That's a pretty decent song. The next one is called Mystery Tour. That's a really cool song because they talk all about like the Beatles. And the last song is called Damaged World, and that's actually like the first song the band started to record back in 2019. Now all 3 of these extra songs were pretty good, and they are on like a separate disc. So in conclusion, I did want to wait like a few days before I reviewed this album because I knew I would need to give it a few listens first. At first I wasn't really impressed by the album. Nothing really like stood out for me. But I did give it a few more listens, and it did start to grow on me. So I would say this album is kind of a grower. I don't think it will be considered like an album that like ranks like really high in the Yes discography, but at the same time, it's not very bad. I enjoyed a few of the songs, but I'm going to say it's like just a decent album. I'm going to give this album a score of a 7.5 out of 10. It's a very laid-back album, and I know Yes is not really a hard rock band, and they're prog rock and all that. But I know like some of the other albums did feel like they had like more energy to the songs, and this one, it's good, but there are also times when it did feel like elevator music. It kind of has like that like jazzy feel during some parts of the songs, but I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the album and where do you think this ranks in their discography. Coming up next week, I do have a couple more new releases to cover, and then I just have a couple more ideas. I might get in an anniversary edition this week as well. And that is it. So this is JC Rock and Metal Reviews. My name is John. Please like, comment, subscribe. And if you're a fan of progressive rock, I recently did a video with Brian from AYB Maine talking about our top 10 Genesis songs. So I will link that right there if you want to check that out, if you're a prog rock fan. But other than that, that is it, and I'll see you in the next one.